Hello friends. So today we are going to see the stomach, okay, one of the organ in the human digestive system. So let's start with the so esophagus and stomach. So let's see the about the stomach and the esophagus. So you know that already the food in the buccal cavity, okay, the food present in the buccal cavity, okay, that is in mouth will first come to the stomach through esophagus. Okay, will come to the stomach through esophagus, and this esophagus is also known as food pipe. And this esophagus doesn't take part directly in digestion, any process of digestion. It will only serve as a passage. Okay, it is serve as a passage for food, or you can tunnel for food, which will carry food from the buccal cavity to the stomach. Okay, and here one important thing you have to know about esophagus is uh, the walls of the esophagus contracts and relaxes alternatively so that the soft bolus of the food passes from the mouth to the stomach. Okay, and that alternative movement, that is alternative muscle movement, that is contraction and relaxation of the esophagus is known as peristalsis movement. Okay, peristalsis movement. So exam point of view, 2 marks, it is very important. This is the overall view of peristalsis movement through esophagus. So food enters in the mouth first, and then it will become bolus, and then this bolus will go towards the stomach using a peristalsis movement. So before entering the stomach, it will cross through cardiac sphincter. Okay, it is a valve. You can tell it is a valve. Okay, just like the valve present between the atria and ventricles in the cardiovascular system, in the heart. Okay, so just like this is a cardiac sphincter. So in it prevents the backflow or regurgitation of food from stomach to the esophagus. Okay, from stomach to the esophagus. And in the downside portion, okay, then this once the food is digested, semi-digested food will enter into the duodenum. There is another sphincter known as pyloric sphincter. Okay, it will guide the food to enter inside the duodenum from the stomach. Okay, now the stomach helps in two things: mechanical digestion and chemical digestion. Okay, so this mechanical digestion process is known as churning process. Okay, churning process. So this is the process in which larger food particles are teared down into smaller food particles. Okay, they are broken down into smaller food particles. This churning process, the muscle layer of the stomach contracts and relaxes so as to break down the larger food particles into smaller food particles. So there are three types of muscles present in the stomach, namely is longitudinal, circular, and oblique. So these three muscles help in the churning process of the stomach. Other than the stomach, whatever the parts, whatever the organs are there in digestive system, they generally have two types of muscular layer, that is longitudinal and circular. But in the stomach there is an extra layer known as oblique layer, which helps in the process of churning. Now when it comes to chemical digestion, walls of the stomach will produce gastric juice. Okay, so there are three kinds of gastric juices will be produced by the walls of the stomach. So one is your pepsin, HCl, and then the mucus. Pepsin will help in the partial breakdown of the protein, whereas HCl will help in the destruction of the harmful microbes which is present in the food, and HCl will also provide favorable condition for pepsin enzyme. Okay, so generally gas generally gastric juice pepsin will be in the form of pepsinogen. It is the inactive form, and in presence of HCl they will convert into pepsin, and this will help in the digestion and partial breakdown of protein. The third one is your mucus. Mucus will help in protection of the inner lining of the stomach. Okay, so mucus helps to protect the inner lining. Okay, inner lining of the stomach. Let's see some more detail on the anatomy of the stomach. So stomach is generally divided into four sections. First one is cardia. So this part is cardia. So this part is cardia. So it surrounds the gastroesophageal sphincter. So here there will be sphincter. So it this cardia region will surround the gastroesophageal sphincter. Then comes the fundus. It is a round shape. Okay, it is a rounded portion above the left side of the cardia. This is the left side and this is the right side. So this rounded portion above the cardia, so above the cardia, it is above the cardia, right? Cardia is here. So if you see above the this line, will see above the cardia. Okay, and it is in the left side. So above the cardia, that is known as fundus, and below the fundus there is a portion known as body. Okay, the body is the central portion of the stomach, and it has lesser curvature and greater curvature. Okay, so the curve is very long here, so that is known as greater curvature. This is short curve, so it is known as lesser curvature. After the body, then comes this section. This section is known as pylorus. Okay, below the body, pylorus, or it is also known as antrum. Pylorus or antrum. This is a narrow inferior region that connects this duodenum. This is the duodenum part. Okay, this is the duodenum part. So here duodenum will start, which connects the duodenum to the stomach. Okay, which connects the duodenum to the stomach, and here there will be another door known as pyloric sphincter. Okay, food has to move through this pyloric sphincter. This is a detail. Some more detail are there in this diagram. You can see the gastric folds. So this gastric folds will be, you can see this gastric folds, but whenever the food is filled in the stomach, this gastric fold will slowly disappear. Just like whenever you fill air in a balloon, the wrinkles in that balloon will disappear. So this stomach is also like elastic. So whenever food is filled, this all these rugs will disappear. This gastric fold, these rugs will disappear. So I have already told you the stomach will secrete three types of substances which helps in the breakdown of partial breakdown of protein. So from where that substances will be produced, from where that enzymes will be produced. So first one is your cheap cells, okay, or it is also known as gymogenic cells. It will produce the pepsinogen, and later this pepsinogen in presence of HCl will convert into pepsin. So you can see the cheap cells here. Here, the yellow colors are your cheap cells, or these are cheap cells, and this Gymogenic chip cell is present in the mucosa layer of the stomach. Next comes the parietal cell. This parietal cell will produce hydrochloric acid. Okay, this acid will only convert this pepsinogen into pepsin, and it also helps in the destruction of microbes present in the food. You can see the parietal cell in brown color. These all are parietal cell. This everything is parietal cell. This yellow color is your gymogenic or chip cell. This brown color is your parietal cell. Third comes the mucus cell, and this parietal cell is present in the mucosa layer of the stomach, same as a chip cell. Third comes the mucus cell. Mucus cell secretes mucus, and this mucus will protect the stomach from being digested. Okay, so you can see the mucus cell. This is present in the upper portion of the mucosa layer. Upper portion of the mucosa layer, and gymogenic or chip cell and parietal cell will be present in the middle and inner layer of the mucosa layer. Now comes to physiology of digestion in the stomach. So bolus already you know, it's a mixture of saliva and enzymes and food particle. So when it enters the food, okay, there will be two processes happening: mechanical and chemical digestion. So mechanical digestion will happen with the help of churning process, and chemical digestion will happen with the help of hydrolysis by the hydrolytic enzymes. Okay, and once this food is broken down into smaller particle, and once it get hydrolyzed, the product form is known as chyme. So this chyme will be stored in the stomach. Around 2 to 4 liter of chyme will be stored in the stomach. And when the intestine is empty, this stored chyme which is present in the stomach will move to the intestine part. Now let's see a small cross section of the stomach. You can see this gastric pit in the stomach. Already I have shown you a bigger diagram of it. In this gastric pit you have mucus cell, chief cell and parietal cell, and this chief cell will produce pepsinogen, and this parietal cell will produce HCl, and this HCl will help in the conversion of this pepsinogen into pepsin, and which will help in the hydrolysis of the protein. Okay, means breakdown of the peptide bond of the protein. So there will be a partial digestion of the protein in the stomach. So let's see the function of the stomach. So stomach helps in the formation of chyme. Okay, helps in the formation of chyme. So it is a product which is a mixture of saliva, food and gastric juices. Saliva, food and gastric juices. It also serves as a reservoir, okay, for food before release into the small intestine. Whenever the small intestine is empty, the food present in the stomach, that is a chyme, will move to the small intestine. The third is your, it secretes gastric juices which contains HCl, and this HCl basically kills the bacteria and denatures the proteins, and then it converts the pepsinogen into pepsin also, and this pepsin will help in the partial digestion of the protein, and it also secretes some intrinsic factors which helps in the absorption of vitamin B12. And the last one, that is gastric lipase. It produces gastric lipase which helps in the digestion of triglycerides. This stomach also secretes gastrin which will move on to the blood circulation. During the making of this video, I have used two books. One is your Gerard J. Tortora and Brian Derrickson, Principles of Anatomy and Physiology, 12th edition. And another book which I have referred is Rijo D. Fundamentals of Anatomy and Physiology, 4th edition. For more detail, you can also refer these books. So with this, the topic stomach is finished. Thank you very much.